I built a tech company from scratch. Then my sister sued me for half of everything I owned, claiming she deserved it just for being family. My sister stood in front of a judge and said I owed her millions. Not because she helped build my company, but because we shared DNA. My parents nodded along. They'd backed her lawsuit, hired her lawyers, and told our entire extended family I was a selfish monster for not sharing my blessing. The courtroom went silent when the judge asked her one simple question: "What exactly did you contribute?" She couldn't answer. But by then, the damage was already done. This is the story of how my own family tried to destroy me over money I earned alone. My name's Ethan Caldwell, I'm 34, and I'm a software engineer who got lucky enough to turn an idea into a successful business. I say lucky, because that's what my family calls it. Lucky. Like I stumbled into success by accident. Like the 80-hour weeks, the failed prototypes, the maxed-out credit cards, and the years of ramen dinners were just luck. But this isn't about defending my work ethic. This is about what happened when success finally came, and my family decided they were entitled to it. It started small. My younger sister, Vanessa Caldwell, is 29. She works in retail management, lives with our parents, and has always been the golden child. She's charming, outgoing, great at making people feel special. Growing up, she could talk her way out of anything. I was the quiet one, the kid who spent weekends coding in his room while she threw parties. Our parents adored her energy. I was just there. When I launched my company 5 years ago, nobody really cared. I'd been working on a cloud-based logistics platform for mid-sized delivery companies, automating route optimization and inventory tracking. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't Instagram-worthy. My parents asked polite questions at family dinners but never really listened to the answers. Vanessa would smile and say, "That's cool, Ethan," before changing the subject to her latest promotion or boyfriend. For 3 years, the company barely survived. I worked my day job, coded at night, pitched to investors who never called back, and watched my savings evaporate. My parents, Robert and Linda Caldwell, both retired teachers, would occasionally ask when I was going to get serious and focus on a stable career. Vanessa once joked that I was having a midlife crisis early. Then, in year 4, everything changed. A major regional carrier signed on. Then another. Then 3 more. Within 18 months, my company went from scraping by to generating 7 figures in annual revenue. I hired a small team, moved into a real office, and finally paid myself a salary that didn't require a side hustle. That's when my family started paying attention. The first sign was subtle. Vanessa began bringing up my company at every family gathering, not to ask how I was doing, but to tell everyone how we were doing. "Ethan's business is taking off," she'd say with this proud smile, like she'd had anything to do with it. "It's so exciting to see what we've built." That word started appearing everywhere. At Thanksgiving, she told our aunt, "We're expanding into 3 new states." At Christmas, she mentioned to our cousins, "We just signed a huge contract." I'd correct her gently. "I signed it, Vanessa. You work at a department store." She'd laugh like I was being modest. Family success is everyone's success, right? Our parents encouraged it. Mom would beam and say, "Your sister's so proud of you." Dad would add, "It's wonderful to see you two supporting each other." I didn't have the heart to explain that support required, actual support. The requests started in February. Vanessa called me one evening, her voice bright and casual. "Hey, so I'm thinking about getting my own place. Nothing crazy, just a nice apartment. I was hoping you could help with the deposit." I asked how much. She said $12,000. For a deposit. I told her I'd think about it. She texted me later, "I know you've got it, Ethan. It's not like you're struggling." 2 weeks later, she asked for a car loan. Then she wanted me to invest in her friend's boutique. Then she needed help with credit card debt. Each time, the ask got bigger, and the justification got thinner. "Your family," she'd say. "This is what family does." I started saying no. Not out of spite, but because I'd learned early that lending money to family rarely ends well. My business partner, Lucas Nelson, had warned me about this. "The second people see you as an ATM," he'd said, "they stop seeing you as a person." Vanessa didn't take the rejections well. She started making comments about how I'd changed, how success had made me cold. At a family dinner in March, she sighed loudly when I declined to pay for everyone's meals. "Must be nice to have money and not share it," she muttered. Mom looked uncomfortable. Dad frowned at me like I'd committed some social crime. I paid for my own meal and left early. The real turning point came in April. My company was approached by a national logistics firm interested in acquiring us. The offer was substantial, enough to set me up for life if I wanted to cash out. I hadn't decided yet, but the number was life-changing. 8 figures. The kind of money that makes people act differently around you. I made the mistake of mentioning it to my parents during a Sunday visit. Just mentioned it, didn't give specifics, just said there was interest. Mom's eyes lit up. Dad leaned forward. That's incredible, son. You must be thrilled. I was. But I was also cautious. The negotiation would take months. Nothing was final. The next day, Vanessa showed up at my apartment unannounced. She was dressed up, makeup perfect, holding a bottle of wine like this was a celebration. I heard the news, she said, breezing past me into the living room. This is amazing, Ethan. We need to talk about what comes next. I closed the door slowly. What comes next? She sat on my couch, crossing her legs like she was settling in for a business meeting. The acquisition. The payout. How we're going to handle it. Handle what, exactly? She smiled. The money, obviously. I've been thinking about how to structure things so everyone benefits. Mom and Dad should get enough to upgrade their house. I'll need a trust fund, maybe a small business investment. You'll still have plenty left over. I stared at her. Vanessa, what are you talking about? Her smile didn't fade, but her eyes hardened. Don't play dumb. This is a family windfall. You didn't get here alone. Actually, I said slowly, I did. Her expression shifted. The charm cracked. That's a really ugly thing to say, Ethan. After everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done? She stood up. Emotional support. Encouragement. Being there when you needed family. That has value. Vanessa, you told me I was wasting my time for 3 years. I was joking. You said I was having a midlife crisis. That was concern. I shook my head. This conversation is over. She didn't leave. Instead, she pulled out her phone and started typing. Fine. If you want to be selfish, I'll let everyone know who you really are. Go ahead. She looked up, surprised I hadn't begged her to stop. Then she left, heels clicking hard against the floor. Within an hour, my phone started buzzing. Family group chat messages. Texts from aunts, uncles, cousins. All variations of the same theme. Is it true you're cutting Vanessa out? Family should come first. Don't let money change you. I muted the group chat and kept working. The next Sunday, I went to my parents' house for what I thought would be a normal visit. Instead, I walked into an ambush. Vanessa was there, along with my Uncle Paul Caldwell and Aunt Sharon Caldwell, both sitting in the living room with serious expressions. Mom gestured to the empty chair. Sit down, Ethan. We need to talk. I stayed standing. About what? Dad cleared his throat. Vanessa's been very upset. She feels like you're excluding her from your success. I built a company, I said. She had nothing to do with it. Vanessa's eyes welled up on cue. How can you say that? I've always been there for you. When? Name one time. She looked at our parents. See, this is what I mean. He's become cruel. Uncle Paul leaned forward. Ethan, family isn't about keeping score. Your sister looks up to you. The least you could do is help her out. I've offered help, I said. I've given advice, introduced her to contacts, offered to pay for professional courses. She's not interested in any of that. She wants cash. Aunt Sharon frowned. There's nothing wrong with asking family for support. Support isn't a blank check. Mom's voice was quiet. Ethan, you know we raised you better than this. That stung more than I expected. You raised me to work hard and earn what I have. That's exactly what I did. You also learned about generosity, Dad said. About taking care of your own. I'm not obligated to fund anyone's lifestyle. Vanessa stood up, tears streaming now. I can't believe you're saying this in front of everyone. You're my brother. We're supposed to be a team. We were never a team, Vanessa. You ignored me for years until I had something you wanted. The room went silent. Then Mom said, I think you should leave. I did. I walked out of that house and didn't look back. For 2 weeks, nobody contacted me. No calls, no texts. I assumed they were giving me space to come to my senses. Instead, I focused on the acquisition negotiations, which were progressing smoothly. My lawyer, Mariah Nguyen, was handling the details. Lucas and I were planning the transition timeline. Then, on a Tuesday morning in May, Mariah called me. Her voice was tight. "Ethan, we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Your sister filed a lawsuit. She's claiming ownership stake in your company." I actually laughed. "On what grounds?" "Familial contribution and emotional partnership. She's arguing that her support during the company's founding phase entitles her to a share of any proceeds from the acquisition." I stopped laughing. "That's insane. It's also public record now. And she's got your parents listed as co-plaintiffs." My stomach dropped. "My parents are suing me?" "They're claiming they provided financial support during your developmental years that directly enabled your career success. They're seeking restitution from the acquisition funds." I sat down hard. "They paid for college. That's not an investment in my company." "I know. But we need to take this seriously." She's hired the Whitmore Legal Group. They specialize in family litigation. "How much is she asking for?" Mariah paused. 40% of the acquisition payout, plus retroactive compensation for 5 years of alleged partnership. The number was obscene. Millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. "Who's paying for her lawyers?" I asked. "Your parents are covering it. Apparently, they refinanced their house." I felt sick. My own family had mortgaged their home to sue me. The lawsuit became public quickly. Family law cases aren't usually sealed, and Vanessa made sure everyone knew. She posted on social media about fighting for what's right and standing up to corporate greed. She painted herself as the scrappy underdog against her wealthy, heartless brother. The narrative spread through our extended family like wildfire. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me, some supportive, most accusatory. "How could you do this to your sister? Family is supposed to stick together. Money really does change people." Nobody asked for my side. They just assumed Vanessa was telling the truth. Lucas was furious on my behalf. "This is extortion. She has no case." Mariah agreed. Her claims have no legal foundation. But family court can be unpredictable, especially if she convinces a judge that there was an implied partnership. There wasn't. "I believe you. We just need to prove it." The next few months were brutal. Discovery phase meant handing over 5 years of financial records, business documents, emails, everything. Vanessa's lawyers combed through it all looking for anything that could support her claim. They found nothing because there was nothing to find. No emails discussing partnership. No shared accounts. No evidence of her involvement beyond occasional family dinners where she'd barely asked about the business. But absence of evidence didn't stop her. In her deposition, which I attended, she claimed she'd been my emotional anchor during the difficult early years. She said she'd given me advice, encouraged me to keep going, and provided strategic insights that shaped the company's direction. When Mariah asked her to name one specific piece of advice, she couldn't. When asked about the nature of my business, she described it as computer stuff for delivery trucks. When asked what my company's revenue model was, she said, "I don't know the technical details. I handled the emotional side. It would have been funny if it wasn't destroying my family." My parents' depositions were worse. They claimed that raising me, paying for my education, and providing a stable home environment entitled them to a share of my success. Dad actually said, "We invested 18 years in raising that boy. This company wouldn't exist without us." Mom added, "We taught him everything he knows. His values, his work ethic, his intelligence, that all came from us." Mariah asked them if they'd invested money directly in the company. They admitted they hadn't. She asked if they'd provided business advice or consulting. They said no. She asked if they'd introduced me to clients or partners. Also no. "So," Mariah said carefully, "you're claiming ownership based purely on having been parents?" Dad bristled. "We're claiming recognition for our contribution to his development as a person." "That's called parenting," Mariah replied. "It's not a business investment." The judge hearing our case was Marion Reeves, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who'd been on the bench for 20 years. The trial was set for September, 6 months after the initial filing. During those months, I barely slept. The stress was crushing. I'd built something from nothing, poured my life into it, and now my own family was trying to take it apart. The acquisition was on hold pending the lawsuit's resolution. The national firm was still interested, but they weren't going to close until the ownership question was settled. Lucas tried to keep my spirits up. "You're going to win," he'd say. "They have no case." "Winning isn't the point," I'd reply. "I've already lost my family." He didn't have an answer for that. The trial lasted 3 days. Vanessa testified first, dressed conservatively, voice soft and wounded. She talked about how close we'd been as kids, how she'd always believed in me, how betrayed she felt now. Her lawyer asked, "Did you contribute to your brother's emotional well-being during the company's founding?" "Absolutely," she said. "I was his rock." "And did he acknowledge this contribution?" "He did. He always said he couldn't have done it without family support." That was technically true. I'd said that once, in a general toast at Thanksgiving. But context didn't matter to her. My parents testified next, echoing the same themes. Sacrifice, investment, betrayal. Mom cried on the stand. Dad's voice shook with anger. They'd convinced themselves that this lawsuit was justified, that I actually owed them. When it was my turn, Mariah walked me through the company's history. Every milestone, every decision, every late night and early morning. She showed bank records proving I'd funded everything myself. She presented emails showing Vanessa had barely responded when I'd shared company updates. Then she asked, "Did your sister contribute to the company's success?" "No," I said. "She didn't." "Did your parents invest money in the business?" "No." "Did anyone in your family provide business advice, client introductions, or strategic guidance?" "No." "Then why do you think they're claiming ownership?" I looked at Vanessa, then at my parents. "Because they see money they want and think being related to me means they deserve it." Vanessa's lawyer objected. The judge sustained it. But the point was